makes Russell a square. He a loving father. He a loving husband. He accepted their child as his own, which is huge, which is big. You know that because
you know, I know all about that.
Bro, you've done that, which is
I
very admirable.
I do that.
Right. Yeah, every day. What is it about this generation that's considered a square? Because he's being a loving husband. He's being a loving father. He's being a provider. He's being a protector. And he's smart. He's intellectual. And he wears his faith on his sleeve. Like, what makes it like where his future is?
Welcome to the Clear in the Air podcast with D and Q.
I'm D.
And I'm Q. Hey, man, we got a topic here that I think is long overdue in the form of discussion. I'm going to let you talk to us because you told me about the whole Russell Wilson square situation. So you always do us justice in breaking down the history of a thing. Talk to us about that situation.
Okay. So before we get into that, I want to say this is the second straight episode to where we've had something planned and something's happened and we had to pivot, quote unquote. I'm going to get to the pivot. You like how I did that. We had to pivot and we had to talk about something like, now we need to talk about this ASAP and get it out. So the last one we talked about the Will Smith, Chris Rock situation. And this one we got to talk about the Russell Wilson situation and him being called a square and Ciara being with him and this and that. So as you asked me to do, I'm going to give y'all a little background. So Ciara, R&B, singer, dancer, pop star, superstar. She has a baby with Future. And now she's married to Russell Wilson. And they have, I want to say two kids, maybe three, two. I think he want more, but I know they got two.
Right.
So Russell Wilson, he's from here in Virginia, actually from my city. Went to, I want to say collegiate high school, then played baseball and football. NC State, transferred to Wisconsin. Now quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, and now plays for the Denver Broncos. He is a nice guy. I think some people may think he's a square because he talks proper. One thing he does, and I think it may turn some people off, he wears his religion on his sleeve. He talks about Jesus Christ and you know, he's a devout Christian. I know in the media, a lot of reporters and things like that, they think he talks very PC. He gives a lot of cliche answers. Basically, he don't give them nothing that's bulletin board material, that's clickbait. You know what I'm saying? He's just gonna give you your like cliche run-of-the-mill answers. So a lot of media people don't really like interviewing him.
Talk to us real quick. What's PC for those who don't understand what that means?
Politically correct. So
Okay.
he's gonna give the politically correct answer. He's not gonna, you know, he's gonna say, man, you know, if they have a big win over somebody, he's gonna say the defense played great, offensive played great, blah blah blah. You know, he's not gonna say, you know, he's not gonna call out another quarterback, this and that, blah blah blah. I know he ruffled some feathers with Aaron Rodgers back in the day because when they beat Green Bay in overtime, he said, you know, God did this and that, and Aaron Rodgers came with a rebuttal, was like, I don't think God is a football fan, something like that. He, you know, things like that. You know what I'm saying? Again, he gives all credit to God and Jesus Christ, and it kind of turns some people up. Another thing that he did, you know, he was married to a Caucasian woman, and a lot of people thought he was a square because of that, because there's this meme when he got drafted, his I think girlfriend at the time, but eventually his wife, she's just so excited and just ecstatic, and that's kind of a meme that kind of follows him. But anyway, a lot of people may think he's a square because of all those reasons. And so Ciara, she used to date Bow Wow, who a lot of people think is a kind of corny and a lame. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna act like Bow Wow don't, he has a place in our culture. You know what I'm saying? He had hits back in the day, a couple movies, this and that. We're not gonna act like, you know, Bow Wow don't have that. And then she dated Future. Future, I'm a fan of his music. Oh, 50, yeah, 50 before that, my bad. Briefly dated 50. They had this song, I can't leave him alone. Na, 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 it's turning me on. But everybody knew that was a fad. Dated 50, that was when 50 was on top. 50 was dating everybody. Dated Future. Um, I'm a fan of Future's music, but everybody know Future has, he out there. I believe he got 7 kids with 6 different women. Um, so I could be a fan of his music and not his lifestyle, but she is one of his children's mothers. And I want to say no, I think Bow Wow, I don't want to say hit it, but had sex with her. So I don't think she was a virgin there. But anyway, but that didn't last. They have a son, baby Future, and apparently she said this prayer, asking God for, I don't want to say a nice guy, but whatever. But
Mhm.
she ended up getting with Russell Wilson, and they're married now, have 2 beautiful kids, and have a wonderful relationship. So the reason it's kind of been rumblings, not rumblings of it, because I think a lot of women now, you hear this stuff, Ciara, what's the prayer you said, sis, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But some people may think Russell Wilson is kind of a square. And so the reason that it's news now is because there was a podcast called The Pivot. You like that? The Pivot. And a former NFL player, Channing Crowder, who used to play for the Dolphins, he straight up said, only reason that Ciara is with Russell is because of his bag. So pretty much because of the money that he makes. There's no way that she would leave Future. And he was trying to big up Future for for Russell, who he called a square if Russell didn't have money. And so the reason it's big news is because as an athlete, there's kind of a certain code amongst athletes. There's kind of 3 things you really don't discuss. You don't discuss a fellow teammates, or either a fellow athlete. You don't discuss their finances. That's their contract. You don't discuss their family, their kids, wife, this and that. And you kind of don't really, you can kind of discuss their character, but you kind of don't. But family and money is definitely off limits. Those are like the 2 of the 3 things you don't. So one, it opened the topic of, do women, do they, why do women seem to like squares when it gets to when they've experienced certain things, or is being a square cool, this and that. And then 2, was he out of pocket as a fellow athlete calling another athlete out, calling him a square? And 3, pretty much, you compare him to Future, who's, kind of has contributed to a lot of broken homes. He's not with none of his children's mothers. And here she is with a man who accepted his Future's child as his own, and then is a loving father, husband, and created this beautiful family. So that's the conversation that has sparked up over this past week. And we had talked about it in general. I mean, just talked about it briefly. It was like, that's a future topic, but now that it came out, we had to talk about it. And again, because he's from here, I actually know some of his family. They go to my church. And so, I was just like, man, this is something we need to talk about. So that's pretty much the background of that.
So I think, let's take it as if people are green. Okay.
You say green or agreeing?
Green, like
Green, like the color.
Yes. So let's assume, that's why I said let's break down PC, and let's break down what is a square. I'm gonna let you go, and then I'm gonna say what is a square?
I think what people may think is a square, and I'm only going to talk about as a black man, People, if you talk proper, they may think you a square. If you get good grades, if you're intelligent, you know, if you are a good man, a faithful man, a devout religious man, whatever your religion may be, if you ain't got your pants hanging off your rear end, you know what I'm saying? If you respect your parents, if you have manners, if you are chivalrous, you know what I'm saying? You may be considered a square. So those are some things I think about. But I really think, and as a black man, it may be quote unquote, if you act white, which I don't know really what that means, but yeah, quote unquote, if you act white, you may be considered a square. A lot of people think Russell Wilson acts white. So yeah.
My turn?
Yeah, go. Jump
Okay.
in.
So I'm going to jump out there and put this out there and say, I probably have been labeled as a square growing up.
For sure. Okay. Look, both of us. That's why we talking about this.
But probably me more so than you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Go for
and
sure.
so for me to be able to explain it, I'm making it personal. So for me, why was I labeled as a square? I always wore I don't like to say religion, but I always wore my faith on my sleeve.
For sure.
I was always one who, now don't get me wrong, some people will misunderstand that and say that, you project. No, but I am who I am. Like I think we all in some way project who we are. Okay, whatever that makeup is. So, you had that. Because of that, growing up, I wasn't sleeping with a whole lot of women. I was trying to walk a certain, I was trying to walk a certain kind of way because it mattered to me more of how I was viewed by God, more or less, than how I was viewed by people. So for me, that meant more than anything. Was it tough growing up? Probably in my younger years, of course. I've been called gay because of that. And let's just be real clear. This is me saying what I'm saying. Is not me outing gays or whatever the case. I'm just making a point because I'm not, and being, again, the misconception of being called something because you're not like, and which leads to the next thing, you don't fit the bad boy persona that, I'm from the hood, you know what I'm saying? I'm from Boston. People say, oh, that ain't the hood. Again, every inner city has a hood, okay? So that being said, I was viewed a certain kind of way because of the environment in which I was in, and I didn't do everything that everybody else did. So I was viewed a certain kind of way. I don't know if necessarily square was the word, but maybe cornball as was used. You could kind of switch out those words and it may be the same thing. Just again, those are the main reasons when you talk about, why a person would call somebody a square, right? So I say that's what a square is personally because I've probably been viewed in that manner because of the reasons I just gave. I think when we say square, because I think we're going to probably use the term square, good guy, and bad boy. No pun intended with the label, but
Puff Daddy, Uncle Diddy, Bad Boy, blue dot. Sorry.
Oh my God.
Blue dot.
Again, we're going to probably use those three terms, and I just want to be clear. So let's define them since we're going to probably use them. We kind of define what a square was. Okay. Mm-hmm. We let's define what a good guy is. So I also would have probably been viewed as a good guy, so to speak, because I was trying to walk according to that cloth, man of the cloth. A man is trying to, you know what I'm saying, walk according to his faith. You're a good guy. You don't do what everybody, you don't smoke, you don't drink, you know, you're not out here having sex, you're not out here doing certain things, you know. Again, the way you dress, I think I dress pretty well. I mean, I would wear jeans and stuff, but I could do slacks and shirt, and it didn't look churchy per se, because I might have on some kicks with it too. But I think that played a part in it too. So a lot of when you talk about a good guy, it's all of this stuff is image. That's really, when I think about it, it's all image.
For
How
sure.
how are people portraying your image?
For sure.
Okay. So I would say that's what a good guy is, or is viewed as, like you say, somebody who might act white, like you said, whatever that means. What does that mean? Does it mean because I talk proper? You know, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So let's use that, since that's a popular series going on right now. So let's take that. You have Will Smith, or we had Will, and then you had Carlton. Carlton was the square. Carlton is the good guy. Will Smith is the thug.
Doing my dance. You want to be loved. My bad. Sorry.
But that's the perfect kind of, you know, if you had to give a visual for someone who still doesn't understand when we give the definitions, or, you know, whatever, look at it like that. Carlton Banks, okay, and Will. All right. What is a bad boy? Okay. Bad boy is kind of the opposite of those things. The street dude, the thug, the person who, you know, again, wears his pants, you know, wears them low, you know what I'm saying? Has a gangster persona, like all of that.
For sure.
You know, maybe even appearance, maybe he's got gold in his mouth, you know, whatever. And I don't, and again, let me just be clear as well. This is not what I am saying. This is not what we are saying. This is kind of what you might say society or culture says is a square, is a bad boy, is a good guy.
For sure.
Okay. So let's just be, I just want to be very clear, because I don't want someone to get a clip of this and say, oh, this guy's calling me a square, or this guy's calling me, or this, that, and the third.
Nah, because we all about breaking stereotypes, bro. Because people might think you a square and you far from it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And now, whatever they thought back in the day, now we popping out here. So, you know what I mean? But anyway, it might be somebody that wasn't really the best student, or, you know,
there you go.
Maybe that was just focused on athletics, and you know what I'm saying? Maybe just, you know, maybe smoked weed in school and this and that, and, you know, maybe wasn't very respectful, really didn't have manners. You know what I'm saying? But he might, you know, behind closed doors, he maybe had a soft side, which is maybe was his appeal to women. You know what I mean? So, you know.
Do you think that you could be labeled as a bad boy and still be a good guy?
For sure. For sure. I think it's all about balance, bro. I think it's yes and no. Hold on, yes and no. So you was talking, and, you know, talk about yourself in high school and college, and, you know, I've always said that's one of the things I admired about you, because when we knew each other in college, not that you wore your religion on your sleeve, but there was just certain things you really didn't do because of your faith. And I always admired that about you, because of me. We share the same faith, but I was out there. I was your typical college student, you know, athlete, you know, it's just kind of what it was. So, but in high school, I kind of toed the line of both. You know, I got good grades. I was in advanced classes, but I also was in regular ones too. And then I was an athlete in high school, and, you know what I'm saying? So I just kind of played both. I had my quote unquote smart classes. I was cool with the white kids, but I was cool with the black kids too. You know what I'm saying? And so I didn't mean for it to be that way. That's just kind of what it was. And I just thought it was, you know, it was cool. I always like to be adaptable, bro. You know what I mean? Like I wanna be able to adapt to many situations. You know what I'm saying? I could be one of the best students in this advanced English classes, and then I can be in a regular math class because I hated math, and be one of the best students there. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Or this physics class, or you know what I mean? And so even in college, can you be a bad boy and a square? I don't know about a square and a
No, no,
bad boy.
not a
I'm
square.
sorry, a good guy, a good guy. Yeah, for sure. I mean, how many quote unquote bad dudes we know that are literally good guys? They maybe just had a different upbringing, or maybe got in trouble early, but deep down inside, they're good guys. You know what I mean? They just might need a little guidance here and there, but yeah, it's possible for sure.
I know that, like you say, we could. As soon as I think about that question, I'm literally thinking of people who even I might have considered, not necessarily that I consider them a bad guy, like a bad boy per se, but when I see where their life is now,
Right,
I'm
right,
like, dang, I don't know if I saw that coming.
right.
Like, I don't know if I actually saw this being the path that they took just based off. And I think we have to be careful of that because, like you say, you know, I think in life it's a lot of us figuring out things. We all
Hmm.
have different backgrounds. Everybody wasn't, given a certain, I like to use my dad as an example, right? So my dad grew up in the house with two older brothers. He was the youngest of three from the hood. Okay. However, he ended up going to school in the suburbs. Obviously, suburbs typically provide a better school system, which led to him going to Harvard. I mentioned that situation because when I think about what you might consider a square, or we use the word Oreo, that's used as well. I think it's unfair because all we have is what we have. And we got to use what we have to get where we think we want to be, where we think we want to be. Okay. So what do I mean when I say that? You could have five different people come from the same environment and all five have a different walk. Or three of the five walk this way, two decide to go that way, or however the numbers play out. But I think we have to be careful also of people who start off rougher, okay, and get to a point to where they're like, you know what, this isn't going to work out for me. And so maybe jail turns them around. I think about Wallow, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Think about Wallow, who did a bid. Now, if you solely judge him off of Wallow's from Philly, what is it? Gilly the Kid is his cousin,
Yeah, and
and
they own $1 million worth of dollars worth of game.
so if you look at his life, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, he was doing a serious bid. You look at him now, and you see what he's doing on social media. Again, the podcast, everything is positive. And so
Mhm.
if you look at him now, you might not say, "Oh, that's a bad boy." If you knew him 10 years ago, you might say the trajectory of his life, oh, that's a bad boy.
Mhm.
Not that you would call him a square now, but I think you wouldn't call him a square now because we know his entire, well, we don't know, but we've seen both sides. I think life is all about progression, all about growth.
The big thing you said, two words: progression, growth, and I'm thinking maturity, bro. You mature, bro. You mature. You don't think as you did when you were younger. You don't act as you did when you were younger. And we'll get into this later, but a lot of women, the choices they made back then, they don't make them choices now. But we'll
We're
get
going,
into that. We'll get into that. We'll
we
get into that.
no, because that's next on the menu. So what I wanted to ask, because that kind of segues perfectly, is do you think women play a role? And we can, this is like a two-part question. Like what you said, we can go into after we answer this question. But do you think women play a role? Because in this, we starting off the conversation talking about another man calling another man a square. But do
And
you?
we got to get back to that because we got to talk about that. Was he out of pocket with that? But come on, let's go to the women.
Yeah, because we're gonna get back to that.
Yeah, I know you will. I know you will.
Yeah. So, do women play a part in labeling men as squares?
Yes, absolutely.
Talk to us about that.
Absolutely. And I've dealt with it. Like, we all know women that we may have wanted back in the day, but only loved bad boys, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now that and I'm just generalizing, so don't take offense to it, but now that they may be older and not as popping, not as in shape, probably got a few kids, divorced once, twice, maybe thrice. You know what I'm saying? Now they won't come back around. And it's like, nah, I'm good. You know what I mean? But I will say this. For some reason, and I don't know what it is, I just know, and I'm not generalizing, but we all know those women who just love bad boys.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in high school, and I could just talk personally. It's two things I remember. I remember in high school, as a freshman and sophomore, I really didn't get a lot of play like that. And maybe that's normal. Maybe that's typical. But junior and senior, that's when it got popping. And then I'll never forget, man, I was a freshman in college. And we had, to this day, like it was like known that we had like the baddest freshman class that came into that university. Like it's just well known that we had the baddest class. And I remember this one joint, she was like, yo, I'm feeling you, but I'm gonna rock with these upperclassmen first and then I'll get at you.
Mm.
Like she told me that verbatim. And again, it's not that the upperclassmen was bad boys. They were just upperclassmen.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but you know, as a college freshman, you don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? So, but when you get a junior senior, you like, yeah, we gonna get all these freshmen and sophomore. You know what I'm saying? So the tables turn, but I just feel like I don't know what it is about that bad boy appeal. Like it just, I don't know. And maybe we'll need to have some women on the show, yes, to get that perspective.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like they like good guys and squares. Not too late, but like down the line, bro. And I don't know, they might be like, well, y'all want, you know, maybe the light skin joints or the foreign joints or something like that. And then y'all be sleeping and come around to the good girls later down the line. So they might say the same thing.
It does go both ways. It actually does go both ways.
It does. And look. I'm gonna take it personally. It did for me. For sure. For sure. So you know what I'm saying? I'm guilty.
Yeah, it definitely goes both ways. I think part of it is, and I don't know if it's a younger, adventurous type of deal, you know, where because what I've found is a lot of us in this in culture, okay, we don't want to per se settle down in our 20s. You know, we may not even want to settle down in our 30s. And what makes that even crazier is because, you know, barring the pandemic, you're in your career. You might be where you feel like at the apex of where you are in your life. So no, you're not trying to be tied down. You're trying to, what they say, live your best life.
Right.
You know, so you might not even, because watch this, in your 20s, you don't know enough and you're adventurous. In your 30s, you think you know everything, okay? And your bag is probably a little bit more secure.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the quality of what you could go after, you still gonna play around a little bit. You still gonna see what's out here. And I think that's both men and women. I think adventure is a big thing. It has an appeal. it has an appeal, and you go after that appeal that's not boring. It's not boring, bro. Let me tell you something.
Boring or safe?
Yeah, yeah. And let me tell you, watch this. I had a girl, and I know I'm going back.
Come on, talk about it. Talk about it.
But just imagine if this is the high school mindset. How was the mindset when we become adults? This girl said to me, she was like, "Yeah, well, we went to prom, right? And then she literally, I'm her boyfriend, and she asked me if she could go to prom with another dude. Okay,
Huh?
you heard it right. Need I say it again?
Hold on. Record scratch. What? What?
Bro, that was my girl. And granted, we were like a county away, a couple counties away, but 30-minute drive. And that was my girl. We went to prom. Okay. Again, you know how I was trying to walk. You know what can happen after prom. All right. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So she asked me, she said, "Hey, do you mind if I go to prom with such and such?" The gall, the nerve, but why? And it got revealed to me why later. Because I knew what you weren't going to do. I knew what he was going to do.
Right.
Okay. And that wasn't even necessarily I don't know if this guy was labeled as a bad boy or whatever, but you can imagine how I was labeled. Okay. And he didn't fit the description of a square or a good guy. Okay. So man, I got so many stories and so many things I could go into when it comes
for sure. You know, we both do. We both do. We talk about it.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we talked about it often.
Yeah. So
I know you got a lot. I know you got a lot for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because that's the life you live.
But I'm gonna tell you this also. For me. And this is a little bit veering off, but since we're making it personal, which is the only way I can do it when we having these conversations, is I can even remember, because I didn't, here's a vulnerable moment, y'all. I didn't end up going there until I started my career. I was working for Marriott at the point in time. So, we're talking about, I bypassed high school safe. I bypassed college safe. My first time, I'm in my career, again, very green. All right. I can remember it being kind of like how you would imagine with the guy. It's an adventure. Like, okay, I'm gonna be the first. I remember this girl saying to me, I had to look up the word. I'm gonna deflower you. You know what I'm saying?
Word?
Yeah, Shorty said, I'm gonna deflower you. So I was like,
pop that cherry.
I was like, hey, no pun intended.
Pun intended, but no pun intended.
So do you think women prefer bad boys? To kind of part B of that, do you feel like women prefer bad boys based off what we said? Does it depend on the woman? Does it depend on her prior experience?
I think it depends on where they are in life. I really think it's where they are in life. High school, college, yeah, they may prefer that bad boy, that image. When they get older, mature, want to settle down, want something that's more stable, and just realize what's good, what's better for them, future, family-wise, I think that's when they, want the good guy. I do, bro. I do. Like, it's so crazy how many joints back in the day, I don't want to say it wouldn't give me the time of day, but wouldn't take me seriously. And now they just, they all on it, man. I'm just like, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm good.
And it kind of sucks. It kind of sucks because
it does. It does. It does. It does, but it don't.
And I'm gonna tell you the reason why I say it does, because I do think that people have a right to not be ready. Because let's take it in this fashion. Let's say they did decide, you know what? I'm gonna go for D. I'm gonna go for Q. If you're not in a position to handle whatever, okay, that means you're gonna mishandle me okay, misuse me, abuse me, all for me really not to be what you want. And then it's like you use me for what you feel you need, and then you keep it moving.
For sure. For
And
sure.
so in a way, you kind of say, man, I'm glad that it didn't go there. So my point is like, it's okay for a person to not be ready for
Yeah.
a situation because you'd rather them not use you up and spit you out. So it's like
Yes.
it's like I kind of can be okay with you not choosing me or making the mistake of not going with me. But then now you realize, because ultimately it's a compliment that you see me around and now you like, yeah, now I'm ready. Well,
Yeah.
but we also have the right, and it's okay and it's fair for us to say, no, I'm good, because I don't know if I want to take a chance on someone who felt as if I was not good enough at that point in time to give me the time of the day or take me seriously. And now, because again, you have done whatever and it has not worked in your life because of your shot selection, should I say,
Ah, ah.
now you want to come back to a situation that you feel is safe. Because I feel like the biggest thing with women that they want is security. So here, let me go here real quick too. Could it be the reason why women go for bad boys is because they feel like they can protect them better than the square or good guys? Because remember, we did that podcast. And if y'all have not seen that, you should go back and check it out in season 1 of how to protect our women. But do you think that could be a factor?
I don't know, bro. I honestly, I just think it's more so of this fantasy thing, man. They just want the bad boy. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just more of a fantasy thing. Then when you get out that fantasy world, you're like, nah, this ain't what I want. This ain't what's this
It's
this ain't this ain't this ain't what I want longevity for future. This ain't what's you know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. You would have to ask them. I think it's more so just this fantasy thing. They just want this bad boy, bro.
well, it's not that they don't, that they still want it, but you realize you can't shape it and mold it the way you
Yeah.
want it to be. Like it doesn't, the end result doesn't turn out the way you think it was going to turn out, because yet
I'm
again,
just
it's a fantasy.
I'm just what's the I used to say like you you want a dude that's gonna curse you out, beat on you, disrespect your mother, disrespect you, this and that. Then when you get tired of that, now you want the dude that's the opposite of that, gonna be respectful, this and that. Like why?
Right.
Like why you want to put yourself through that? Like who? I don't know, brother.
Like you say, even if it's not me and it's somebody else, but you still go for that fantasy.
Yeah, I do want to say this because you talked about it earlier, and I wanted to say it earlier. It can happen to us guys too. I think men and women, we could realize having a good thing too late. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? Like it's not just women; it could be us too. I've definitely experienced that personally.
Oh
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? Having a good thing and just not realizing it until it's too late.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's not just a female thing. Guys can definitely do that too. So
Hmm.
I definitely wanted to say that.
We're in our 20s, or we're young and we just feel like we have the time. I think that's the problem too. We think we have time, and then we lack the maturity, the growth. We lack those things, and because of that, we passed on good women all along the process, whatever, regardless of the age. And then I think there are plenty of us men who are lonely, who go through times of really not having anybody when we at some point did. Now she's married, she has kids, or at this point she sees there's not much growth per se, so she's not coming back. Yeah, you're still available, and there's a reason why you're still available, homie. Clearly, as you can see, women are a part of the conversation, but I think in this context it's not about men, which I think that could be maybe a part two, but that's another conversation. Let's head back to this podcast, and I guess what we thought about what was said. So what did you think initially? Because I just saw it probably an hour before we started the podcast. I know you had
Mhm.
been talking about it. What did you think about what the Pivot podcast? And not everybody felt this way, but what did you think about the Pivot podcast and what was said?
My first thought was, wow, here's a athlete or former athlete going at another athlete. That was my first thing. Like, it's kind of understood. Like, you really don't, again, you don't talk about another athlete's money, finances, and you don't talk about their family. And even though he was kind of talking more so about Russ, he brung his family into it because he said his wife wouldn't be with him if he didn't have money. So that was the first thing. I was just taken aback by that. Secondly, I'm like, what's so great about Future that you thinking that she downgraded with Russell
Right.
because she left Future? And then my thought was like, yeah, yo, do you like Future? Are you trying to get with Future? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what makes Future so great for you to speak on another man and
Highly, so to
yeah,
speak.
and his situation and just be like, because all you know, I mean, I don't know if you know Future personally, Mr. Crowder, but I'm assuming you just know his music. So what is so great about his music that you think so highly of him to be like, her new situation, she only with him because of his money, because you wouldn't leave Future because he's so great. Like,
Right.
and then the whole thing about the, okay, well, what makes Russell a square? You know what I'm saying? Like, he a loving father, he a loving husband. He accepted their child as his own, which is huge, which is big. You know that because
I know all
bro,
about that.
bro, you've done that, which is
I
very
do.
admirable.
I
Right,
do that.
right, yeah, every day. So I was just like, why? What is it about this generation that's considered a square? Because he's being a loving husband, he's being a loving father, he's being a provider, he's being a protector, and he's smart, he's intellectual, and he wears his faith on his sleeve. Like, what makes it whack? Whereas Future is, yes, he makes good music. You know, I love March Madness. I love Real Sisters. I love F Up Some Commas. I love trap in words. You know, I'm trying not to curse. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like Future. Like, I like Dirty Sprite too. But like, other than that, what's so great about Future?
You're talking about entertainment versus
What's real?
sustainability.
Sustainability, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have one person who's shown he's not willing to commit to nobody and has 7 kids with 6 different women, as not being faithful and loyal to none of them. And then you have one who's faithful to his wife, has a beautiful family, and accepted your child with this other dude as his own.
Right. And I find it a little weird also because I believe Channing is a married man. So, you know, I think that's why the question came up about, can somebody with a bad boy image be a good guy? Because I think we had a question like, so where do you see yourself at? Again, image, where do you see yourself at on the spectrum? Are you a square? Are you a bad boy? Can bad boys marry and have a legitimate, healthy relationship? Or are you a good guy? Because I'm not sure. I think if we're looking at a spectrum, I might say a square bad boy and a good guy is somewhere, you know, in between. But my thoughts, and this is a deep situation. My thoughts are a lot deeper. Why are we attacking men for doing what they should be doing?
Exactly.
Why are we attacking men for doing what they should be doing? Because to me, that's what it was an attack. Because this is what we do.
Hold up. Let me say this. All of the dudes on that platform are married.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
We just had a conversation about the Will Smith and his behavior. So when we act like that, we're wrong. Okay. When we even if it's not that there is a pattern of bad behavior or violence, but when we do stuff like that, we're wrong. Okay. But also when we do the thing that we should be doing, upholding our families, being an example to the NFL, to our families, to the Black community. And I only say that because that's what their situation is. That's where they fit in. Somehow you get ridiculed for that. Like, I just don't, I don't understand what that is. And again, are we more worried about image than we're worried about the image of doing the right thing, no matter where we fall in that spectrum? I just find it a bit tough.
It's
when
like it's like dang if you do, dang if you don't, bro.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of like you have to toe that line, bro. You can't be too much of a square, but you can't be too much of a bad boy thug
right.
gangster too. You just
Right.
gotta.
Which in other words says, you got to live the life of chance. Be the bad boy thug, because that's what people want. They don't want a pushover.
Yeah.
Not realizing that you could be a square or a good guy and still not be a pushover, but be that bad boy thug. Hold on, bad boy thug, and slap somebody up when the time needs.
That's what I'm saying. What does that look like? What does that look like? Like, I'm gonna provide for my family, but I might slap my girl if I need to. Like, what does that mean? What does that look like? I put the fear of God with you, but I might not necessarily hit you out. What? And I don't mean talk about abuse. Not even talking about abuse. Like,
somebody else, though.
I might be faithful to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna provide for you this and that, but I might step out if the opportunity presents itself. You know, I'm gonna go to church with you on Sunday, but I might sell a little weed Sunday night. Like, what does that look like? What does that balance look like? Like, who has the blueprint for that? That we can read and say, and why is that acceptable in society? Like, why is that? Why does that have to be the case, bro? Like, me personally, and I know you too, I don't want to embrace none of that lifestyle over there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Call me a square.
Right. Call me a square, but before they put me in a square box, I got some legacy to make. Meanwhile, while you worry about your image and about the bad boy situation and women wanting that, sweetheart, you might be planning to put someone in a square box a lot sooner, making that decision and that choice. And again, and I don't want to, because this can sound wrong. Don't go for what you don't want, right? But then I think you will get raised eyebrows when you make the decision that you've chosen 20, 30 years of wanting the bad boy image per se. And then now when you realize it doesn't really work for you, okay, and you see how it's left you, maybe with a broken family, maybe with a guy who can't stay out of jail. And I am not generalizing, but what I am saying is, again, I'm not trying to force anyone to, well, you should don't go after what you don't want. That is utterly foolish. But realize that when later on you have a change of heart, sweetheart, you might get some pushback. Yeah.
You might not be looking the same way you was back in the day when you was.
Well, because you done for maybe the natural reasons, but also it's been a rough road for you, and
it's been a rough road, yeah, because you've been dealing with that bad boy.
What should we be saying about Russell Wilson and Ciara? Because I don't think this pivot conversation is what we should be saying when we look at those two.
I think what we should be saying is what has majorly been said. I think the news of what Crowder said was such big news because it came out of nowhere. Like, when you think about them, you know, all the women be like, what was the prayer she said? And I'm tired of that saying. I can't stand that saying. I hate that saying, but it's that. So I got a list of sayings I'm tired of. It's the whatever for me. What's the Ciara's prayer? Oh, I got a list of saying I just wish would be extinct. But anyway, I mean, I think the most people think she been through a lot. She went through Bow Wow. She dealt with 50. I don't mean went through. She dealt with Bow Wow, dealt with 50 Cent, dealt with Future. And she finally got someone who treats her right, wonderful family, accepted her child as his own. And they popping. And it's like, oh, and he's a nice guy. So I think the majority opinion of that is that, you know, it's a positive thing. And most people look on it in a positive light. So that's why the crowd comment just seemed like out of left field again, because it's like, as a dude, first of all, where did it come from? It came out of nowhere, one. Two, it's like, why are you hating? And then you hating on a fellow athlete. Like, you know, I think the narrative of Ciara and Russell is mostly positive. And I think a lot of people look at that relationship and be like, yo, that's dope. That's a good relationship. And they're happy for her. You know what I mean?
That's where the whole
They happy
Ciara's prayer comes
yeah,
from.
yeah. They're happy for her. They're happy for baby Future. You know, and one thing I like about Russ, he always takes the high road. Like, you know, when they played at Atlanta, they was playing Future music on the loudspeaker. Future was on the sideline. And, you know, I think, you know, because they waited till marriage to, you know, have sex.
Right.
And he made that comment like, well, I didn't wait or blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Just Future stuff. You know what I'm saying? And Russ never commented. Just take the high road, bro. Just take the high road. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and then Future got mad because there was videos of Russ showing baby Future different things and plans. You know what I mean? It's just like, come on, bro. What you hating on his man? You hating on this man because he's stepping up to the plate and you not?
Which is a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, a whole nother conversation. It's like, come on, bro. Like,
I'm gonna tell you what when I saw somebody post, I think it was on Twitter. They did a picture of, I guess, when now that he's a Denver Bronco, so they had the colors and they did like a photo shoot. Okay, and you know, again, the three kids, Russ and Ciara, and so somebody said, "LOL, if this is what marrying a cornball looks like, sign me up," in bold uppercase letters. And then she went on to say, Ciara always looks happy, supported, and moisturized ASF. Laugh emoji, laugh emoji, laugh emoji. So I believe it as well. And I think there has to be something wrong or vindictive or just hateful in you to not want to see people do well, especially when they've gone through. And I think, again, that's the purpose. That's the point I make. Everything may not always start off the way we want it to be. We're going to make our mistakes.
right.
You know, we're going to do things that aren't the best. We're going to make decisions that aren't the best for us. Right. But when we get to a point where we can legitimately be in a place of happiness and peace, why not? And that's what the other guys on the Pivot podcast said as well. Somebody disagreed with Channing.
Ryan Clark, like, roundabout kind of disagree with him. But you had a quote about something. I had seen the quote too, and I'm gonna read it real quick. It says, Future has created 7+ broken homes, but Russell is the one that's corny. God forbid a man actually be a great father and loving to his wife. This is the world we live in. I'm scared of y'all.
Okay. What was that?
It was just a quote I had seen. I saw it and I screenshotted it. I'm gonna say it again. Future has created 7+ broken homes, but Russell is the one that's corny. God forbid a man actually be a great father and loving to his wife. This is the world we live in. I'm scared of y'all. And that's what it is, man. You know, I talk about plenty of time, man. This generation is so messed up, man. They so backwards, bro. Like,
but listen.
This woman is happy. Their relationship is happy. Their kids is happy. And you up here talking about she only with him because his money? First of all, she is a pop star. She got her own bread, bro. What are you talking about? We ain't even talk about that.
True. But listen, it's not even just this generation. Channing older than us.
Nah, he younger than us.
Is he?
Yeah. He younger than us. He just
But not by much.
no, not by much. Not by much. Now he about around our age.
Yeah.
He about around our age. But I just don't like, why would you even if you felt that way, why would you even say that? And on a platform like that, you're gonna get that backlash, bro. Like you just this is a beautiful black family, bro.
Yeah.
And you undermining it, talk about she only with him because he got money, and you co-signing this dude that is promiscuous out here in these streets and just fathering kids and like what are we doing?
Yeah. And
What
I
are we
have to be,
doing?
but see, I have to be careful too, because I think when we have these platforms, we just get to saying things and we can be reckless. Like I was getting ready to use an analogy and say something, but I'm going to leave it alone because I think also this is another thing to consider when we say what should we be saying. When you're these are celebrities, and everybody gets a chance to see their life in the public eye. And so therefore there was always something that's going to be said. And so we go and we talk about image, with I don't know if Ciara was married before, but she's been in several high profile relationships. I know also with Russell being married before, you know, I've been married before. When you get to a point to where you go through a rough patch and you've had rough relationships or a rough marriage, when you get into something that is peaceful and you can pour everything into and it's fruitful, because let me tell you something, when I see them, it's very fruitful. Just going back, like you say, you got, and people don't, this doesn't matter to people nowadays just because of where society is. But you're talking about a man who said, listen, shorty, I'm not like those guys. And I don't think it was anything he had to prove. Again, it was just who he was. One thing that I would say about myself, it wasn't about me trying to prove to people or throw my faith at people, but it's who I am. And so guess what? If you rocking with me, this is how I'm getting down. I think it would stand up for future for Russell to say, you know what? How about this? I know you done been through a lot in your life. And I'm gonna show you that I'm into you and ain't gotta touch that body of yours. While other men would have been like your boy said, well, I ain't wait. Right, you didn't wait. So let me show you what it's like to see a man that had been really waiting for you all his life, and I could just jump in, but I'm gonna wait a little bit longer to really just show you, yo, I'm all about this.
Yeah.
And like you said, I accept the fact that there is another child that I didn't father.
Yeah.
That's maturity and that's growth. And it's like, how long do we stay stuck on stupid to not realizing, yo, let's be fruitful out here. So we always talk about be fruitful and multiply. No, let's be fruitful. The fruit that's gonna last, the fruit that's gonna, that our generations, the generations coming up behind us can say, yo, like this is the way to do it.
Because look, we already talked about the guy had his future podcast with your boy Nick Cannon. Because he's just out here multiplying. But that's down the road. He from that future family tree. But anyway, yo, I just hate that backwards thinking, bro. Like, and again, as an athlete, and maybe because he literally thinks Russell Wilson is a square, and I'm sure a lot of people in the NFL do. But the fact that you said that in regards to his relationship, to his marriage, and you compare it to now, if you think he is square because he gives PC answers and interviews, and he's kind of a company man, you know what I'm saying? He was kind of close with the owner in Seattle, that kind of world people. Okay, but you're talking about he is square because he's a loving husband and father, and you comparing him to Future and saying the only reason he with Russ because he getting the bag? Like, come on, bro, you out of pocket for that.
And I think he went there and said, everybody has a type. Okay. And we get caught up because of our types. Like, so okay, here it is. Watch this. So do you suggest that she continue to date rappers and continue to to deal with the same result over and over and over and over. Yo, we're not young no more. You're talking about in your 40s, upper 30s, in your 40s. So you continue to do this throughout the course of your life. When do you pivot and make a change?
Yeah, what was he saying? Ciara has a type, or Russ has a type, or was it both?
He was saying Ciara has a type because when he was going there saying,
So
about
she likes other
Future.
rappers.
I guess basically that's what you basically can say, because you got to look at, again, you look at her. Let's look at her track
Because
record.
I was about to say, was he saying Russ kind of has a type? Because
No, Ciara.
Okay, Ciara. Okay, all right.
Yeah, because he was talking about
Hey, bro, but look,
50.
Just like we talked earlier, it wasn't too late for her. She realized she needed something different.
Right. And that was her maturity and growth.
Right. It was her maturity and growth. And whatever prayer she said, quote unquote, it was somebody there that was for her, that was going to love her for her with her child, and was going to be faithful and loyal. And you knocking that?
Right. Which, by the way, ladies, you don't got to ask what Ciara's prayer is. Pray your own prayer.
Pray
get your own blessing.
Mm-hmm. Pray your own prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So, man, I'm gonna ask this last question. Do you think good guys finish last?
Early in life, yes. We popping now, though. We popping now, though. Early in life, yeah, man. It's just, I don't. Last, no, because there are some women who are more mature and know what they want early in life. So no, but I would say for the most part, probably so. But now, as you grow older and mature, yeah.
My answer was exactly the same as yours initially. When I was growing up, I felt that way. I've had females cheat on me because of the way that I was trying to walk, not realizing that it would have been more of a blessing to them for me to be the way that I was, because it, if anything, could show you that I could be into you without being into you.
Be into you, not into you. I'm trying to get into you, not into you.
That's the tough part. But definitely growing up, I did feel that way. And I guess it was because I hadn't seen enough. Now, no, I wouldn't say so. Because I would, I guess, label myself as a good guy. And, when I'm literally looking to the right and I see a picture of my wife and I. Shout out to my wife. We will celebrate 5 years of marriage in a few weeks. I wouldn't say that good guys finish last. I wouldn't say that good women finish last. And I think this is a perfect way to close this. I would say that when we genuinely are in the position that we need to be in, we could do a Ciara's prayer and get what we're now officially ready to handle. Do good guys finish last? No. And I want to, as we end, encourage guys who may be called squares, or who, the young kids, I think, because I feel like when you're in high school, like you said, I noticed the difference you mentioned between freshman and junior year. So going from underclassmen to upperclassmen, I think when you are trying to figure out who you're going to be, please don't allow outside sources to change who you are. You have morals, live by morals. If you don't have morals and you understand, wow, I'm seeing some of the OGs and how they're living, let me follow after that, because that's going to be the situation that leads to success. And I could see it. I don't have to wait 15, 20 years to see it. I could be ready for something that is sustainable at a much younger age. I'm not saying get married at 18 years old. I'm not saying, but you can have the principles of someone who could be ready to be married in his 20s, in his 30s. But don't allow for people to shape you because they want to label you as a square or a good guy, or even as a bad guy, because of mistakes that you may have made. So I want us to end by just saying, for those that are in the high school ages and getting older, don't shape your life based off of labels. Know who it is that you want to be that person, and do not allow outside sources to change you turn you away from morals, to turn you away from things that will have you living a better life and doing so sooner. Doesn't matter where you come from. You could come from the gutter. You could come from the suburbs. It doesn't matter. The location of your environment doesn't necessarily determine who you are or who you will be. We determine that. So as we clear the air, man, I just wanted to kind of give some encouragement on that note.
Sure.
So listen, it's been another episode. Stay tuned, man. Again, we want to ask you guys to go subscribe to our YouTube channel, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook page, Spotify, Apple.
Yeah.
Please go check us out. We appreciate the support as we grow personally. Okay. And that's what we're aiming to do. We don't know everything. We have people in our ears. Okay. We are learning as we go along. But I do think that the conversations that we are having and will continue to have will be one that leaves a legacy through conversation. So listen, we are out. Peace, and we'll see you on the next episode.
No doubt. I'm about to go listen to Dirty Sprite too. I'm just playing. Shout out to Russell Wilson and Ciara. Being the square is cool. Peace.